Hi everyone, it's Yua here, and in today's video I'm going to do a follow-up video on products that I did a first impression. So if you guys would like to see the products that did work and didn't work and what are my final thoughts on these first impression products, then please keep watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and let's get started. So the first class of products that I'm going to be going over are these ColourPop complexion products that ColourPop released last month in June. It was the No Filter ColourPop Foundation, the No Filter setting powder, and the No Filter pressed powder. So if you didn't see my first impressions and try on video, I'll link it up in the cards and also in the description box if you want to see that, so you kind of see how I actually tried it on. I did a wear test and also my first impression thoughts. But I've been trying these products, all of them, for multiple times now, and honestly I feel like my thoughts have not really changed. For the foundation, I think that was one of the most highly anticipated product of this entire launch. I will say that it's more of a medium coverage, and honestly I feel like I still feel kind of tossed up about this product. Sometimes I feel like it looks good and then sometimes it doesn't, and I don't really understand what is it. I think one of the major things is that it's due to my dry skin. I really feel like if you have dry skin, you're not gonna like the No Filter foundation. I feel like for me, when I applied it with a brush, it was more fuller coverage, but it actually looks better applying it with a sponge. And I think also if you're gonna apply this, I think it looks better if you kind of let your oils, your natural oils kind of already kind of seep through, and make sure you moisturize, because although when you first apply it, it looks like a satiny finish, it dries down and it gets into all of my cracks and fine lines, even up here. I am wearing it on my face today, and although it does look really good, by the end of the day it doesn't look good at all. Alright, so the next two products, the setting powder in translucent and the pressed powder in medium. Setting powder, I don't think it really has that softening effect or smoothing effect that I get on some of my other setting powders. So I think if you're just looking for an okay setting powder, I think this is okay. For the sheer pressed powder, I did get this in a medium, and I think it works really good with my skin color, my skin tone. Although I did get the light 70 in the foundation, it recommended me to get a light powder, but for me I knew that I had to get a medium because I'm more on the darker end of the light side. But for me, I don't really set my entire face with powder, but I do like to use this as like touch-ups, and when I need to like kind of if I contoured my nose too harsh, I like to go and use this to kind of help blend it out, and I think it does a good job. I think this is nice because of the packaging, and it's just so easy, and it has a mirror, so it's really good for like if you need to just stick it in your purse and have it on the go. You will have to bring a brush with it, that's the only thing. But so the first eyeshadow palette I want to mention today is this ALAMAR Cosmetics Reina del Caribe or Caribe eyeshadow palette. I did receive this in my June BOXYCHARM, and honestly I've been really loving this eyeshadow palette. It's super pigmented and it doesn't require you going in to pick up like a lot of shadow. I just barely tap into it. There's barely any kickback, there's no fallout. I never have any problems when I'm using this palette. The only thing is that I feel like it's missing like a bone overall lid shade or like that matte highlight shade that I would really like, and that's my only thing. Also, this palette does not come with a mirror, so it's not really good to travel. Like for me, when I travel, I never know if I'm gonna have a place that has a mirror, so I love to have mirrors in my eyeshadow palettes, and that's probably the only thing. I did use La Costa as my inner corner highlight today, and I think it's beautiful. It's very pigmented. Even the shimmers, they do not require you going in with like Fix Plus or a setting spray to enhance it. I just use it dry and it's beautiful. I did also use Cafecito on my outer corner eyes just to kind of create that depth, and I think it's beautiful. It blends out effortlessly. I think that the quality of this ALAMAR Cosmetics eyeshadow palette is really, really good, and I'm super excited to see when volume 2 comes out. The next eyeshadow palette I want to talk about today is the Urban Decay Born to Run eyeshadow palette. This was also released in June. So I think it is a good palette. The quality of Urban Decay is pretty typical of any other Urban Decay eyeshadow palette. It's pretty good, it's pigmented, easy to blend out, and create colorful looks. My thing with this palette is there's too many shimmers or satin shades that it doesn't allow for me personally to use as crease shades. Like there's some nice greens and blues in here, but there's no matte blue or green, so it's really hard for me to just keep creating, like using Riff or Still Shot, these two like good transition shades, and then just using a colorful shade just right on my eyelid. And that's pretty much what I've been doing. And this one does have a really good size mirror, which I loved it when I was traveling. But overall, I feel like if you want to go with colors, these are going to create much deeper. The next palette I want to talk about is the Violet Voss Flamingo eyeshadow palette, and this is the one that I feel like it's perfect for summer. Like, I feel like this palette is very cohesive. There's a matte bone shade for highlight and overall eyelid. There's a matte black, which you can also create and deepen your eyelids, or you can make it as an eyeliner. I just feel like this palette is so cohesive, and I love the fact that there's a huge mirror in here as well that it just makes it very travel friendly. There's just so many colorful looks that you can create, and I feel like there's so many perfect matte and shimmer shades that are so very complementary to each other. The only thing that I feel like this palette is missing is a matte purple, because although there's like these purple shades up here, there's no matte purple that I would have liked to create that transition. And I feel like Oceanfront and Lemonade are just more lackluster. I will also say that the shimmers in here, if you just pick it up with a dry brush, it's not very pigmented. I think that these shimmers definitely work better if you pick it up with your fingers. And I know even like for me, I've just really started getting into using my fingers more when I'm picking up eyeshadows, but they definitely do not work great with a dry brush. They definitely work better if you use your finger or a wet brush. So those are my recommendations, and if you don't like that, then you're probably not gonna like the shimmers in here, but the mattes are great. The next two eyeshadow palettes that I want to talk about today are the ColourPop Soul and More eyeshadow palettes. These did just release this month, and I've been really enjoying them. First of all, these eyeshadow palettes are very different from previous palettes because these are made with like a sturdy plastic material compared to previous palettes where they were in like a more cardboard traditional magnetic closure. These palettes are very different also because they're in like a 9 eyeshadow palette configuration, which in the past they never did that. And I really like them because they're very color themed. So for the Soul one, it's more like a pinky orangey theme, and for the Mar one, it was more of a blue theme. So for the Soul palette, which is the pinky orangey theme palette, I just feel like this palette, although it's very beautiful, there's too many metallic or shimmer shades in here. I feel like the brown shade in here is just not deep enough to deepen my outer corner, and I can only imagine if you have a deeper skin tone than me, that brown probably won't even show up at all. So I would have liked having like a deeper brown or another deeper eyeshadow and also a brighter orange eyeshadow. Alright, and then with the Mar palette, which is the blue themed palette, I feel like it's really beautiful. Blue is my favorite color and I love blues. But my thing with this palette is that there's too many shimmers, just like the Soul palette, that I think that they could have gotten rid of one. I wish they would have had a lighter blue matte shade in here so that I could also use as my transition shade. I feel like the only transition shade in here is like this very, very light, cool brown in here. But I still think that they're both worth it, definitely for the price. I love ColourPop, their formula like I mentioned, and I definitely think they're worth it if you're interested in the color schemes. Do keep in mind that if you've never purchased a ColourPop eyeshadow palette, the pan sizes in the palettes are much smaller than your typical Alright guys, we're down to my final product, and it is these Makeup Revolution foundation sticks. I did pick up the shade F8, which is my perfect foundation right now, and F12 as my bronzer contour. And if you guys have not seen my first impressions, I'll link it up in the cards and down below for you guys to watch as well, because I did do a try on and a wear test in it. Honestly, my thoughts have not changed with these as well. I love them. They're really good. They're super creamy. They glide on super easy. I think these are perfect for those who have dry skin like myself. If you have oily skin, I don't think you will like this at all, because when you already like swipe it all over your face, you feel like it's slipping and sliding. But I think for us that have dry skin, like for me, because it is so creamy and moisturizing, my skin just like sucks it all up, and it just has like a perfect like satiny luminous foundation all over my face, and I really like that. Overall, I think this is like the best ever foundation stick I found to date. Another good thing is that these are super affordable, and Ulta always has sales. Like they always have buy one get one free or buy one get one half off, and I think that if you just want to wait and be patient, you'll always find a deal on these foundation sticks. What's also so neat is that you can go into Ulta and actually try on the testers for these foundation sticks, because I know like if you've never been Ulta, there's one side that is like the prestige and then one side that's more like drugstore, and the drugstore side almost like never has any testers for you, so it's like almost impossible to buy a foundation. But I have no idea what Makeup Revolution did, but they're super smart because they have testers for just the Makeup Revolution. Alright guys, so those were all the products I wanted to mention today. If you guys like these type of videos where I do follow-ups on first impressions and you enjoyed watching this video, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys!